Evening. So, just sorting out the live stream now. Oh, here. So, hello New Durham. Sorry, I'm just doing a quick test actually because I'm doing a running session on later this evening with the layout, and this is a test of a streaming service I'm using that allows me to stream to Facebook and YouTube. So rather than just doing something, well, it's not too interesting this one, but we'll have a look. I'm going to be streaming to YouTube as well as Facebook at the same time, so I'm hoping it's working okay. So I hope you're all okay anyway, and we're going to have a look at a new purchase that I picked up the other day. That plaque looks familiar. Yes, you left it behind. So I thought I'd advertise it up for you, Stu. So it's a thing, I'll get it repaired for you as well. So speaking to Stuart on Facebook, and it's shamefully had a little accident yesterday. He dropped it. So we've got a thing. Right, so we're going to be having a look at, I've got a recent Helgen purchase here, and just so you can all see. It is, in fact, I don't know if you can see that okay, it's a Class 15. So it's D8229, BR green, full yellow ends. So this has got the later BR logo on it as well, which works pretty well for 70s in our layout. We're going to have a look inside, and I'm just going to take it apart and get a decoder fitted in it. So I hope the streaming's working well. So we're going to have a look. So opening the box, you get really nice foam packaging, so they're well stored in these Helgens, they really are. And first thing it is, we get quite a lot of, what should we say, bump with it as well. So, call it a Valley Brook curse. Oh, bless him. So, anyway, we get the, with every Helgen locomotive, it's a bit more detailed than, like, say with Bachmann and Hornby, you get a description on the back, little bit about the locomotive. In Helgen, you get it all literally in the description here. So, like, thank you for purchasing this Helgen model of a Class 15 locomotive. Very highly detailed. So it tells you about it. But also on the back as well, you get a description about the actual locomotive that you've purchased, and it goes through details like about the engine troubles that they had with it, and even when this was in service and when it was up till service as well. So this is a Class 15. Many of you know about them. So there was numbers in the series was D8200 to 8209 and 8210 to 8243. They were in two schemes according to this. We had a pilot scheme and the production batch. So I guess there was like a test scheme. They were first introduced in 1957. So obviously it's a Bobo arrangement, and it outputted 800 horsepower. But top speed was 60 miles an hour. So it was diesel electric. So in here, Helgen do give quite a detailed description. So you do actually get to see all of the components and even the spares numbers on here and everything. So if you ever do need to get any spares or anything, you can do. From pretty much probably any Helgen dealer, or I think there's a Peter Spares. So call it a Valley Brook curse. So on here it demonstrates about how to actually take it apart as well, step by step, photo 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to have a look at the locomotive and just get a decoder fitted in it and hopefully have a look at it running. So, Helgen, you definitely get the details. So, in the box, you tend to get quite a lot of additional parts. Let's have a look through all of these packages. I'll tear them open, let's have a look. Just got to be careful because there's something small down the bottom there. I think it's a coupling. So we get one set of vacuum pipes, well, two sets obviously, because one for each end. I believe, sandboxes come separately as well, so you can get these fitted on or off as an option. And we also get more vacuum pipes. What we got here? These are the head codes, so you can place the head codes onto your specification. Shamefully, they don't tell you in the manual, I don't think. Just have a look. Yeah, there's no pictures, but You can research it up online anyway to get the right head codes. You get the white ones and the yellow ones with it as well. Let's have a look. And then also in this little packaging, we've got the two tension lock couplings. These are the small narrow ones. The thing I find with Helgens over time, they're quite soft plastic and they tend to droop a little bit, so thicker ones are generally better. And then we also get some chain link couplings as well. So these are really quite fine to see. Sorry, I'm on a Valley Brook curse now. I'm dropping stuff. There we go. So yeah, you get the 3 part of the chain and then the little hook as well, separately. So I'm going to put these to one side so I don't lose them. There's no doubt I'll probably lose them by the end of the stream otherwise. Let's have a look what we got in this packet as well. Seems to be quite a lot of stuff in this. More vacuum pipes. These are all moulded, class 15G. More vacuum pipes, so obviously on for each end. We've got 3 of the same thing there. Oh well, a few spares for when I lose them. And then we've got steps. So it's almost like build your own locomotive. We've got a few more steps. Another set of steps. Sure there aren't that many steps. And a little bracket. I'm not too sure what that's for. So we've got those. Let's have a look at the actual locomotive anyway. So that's your packaging. You get obviously so all your spares come in either end. So I'll place that to one side. Oh, there is something else in the box. What's that? Oh, it's just a piece of white card. Right. So let's have a look. Let's unbox this. So let's split apart the packaging. We'll have a look at this lovely locomotive. So, as you can see, this is in BR green with full yellow ends, class 15, and obviously this has got the later BR logo on, which goes great for about 70s. They didn't respray everything into blue, and obviously these were quite troublesome locomotives as well. But the detailing on the end is really quite good actually. So you've even got little separate handrails that are moulded on there. And obviously we've got each of your head codes here which we can affix. This is where the white and yellow little head codes pop onto. I'll fix those on at a later date. And obviously we've got the cab. There's even little separate window wipers. And you've also got the danger electricity above markers on as well. Just trying to see if we can, I don't know if you can see it on stream. Here, I'm just going to have a look. There is actually detailing on the side, but I don't think my eyesight's good enough to read it. That'll be obviously the plate with stating the ton weight and etc. on it. So we've got great, see quite nice and clearly through there. But there isn't any actually cab detail in there. It's just literally a white strip going across. Going around to the front. Each of these handles are these moulded or no? They're actually. It's just moulded on then painted. We've got a separate rail at the top here. This has been applied separately, and we've also got two sets of rails here as well. As you can see, there's no detailing whatsoever on the front of the locomotive. And on the top, obviously, we've got the exhaust outlet. It would look quite nice when it's weathered this. So it is pretty much a build your own locomotive with Helgen, I believe. So I'm going to refer to the instructions before we go any further. And we're going to have a look at how to disassemble the locomotive. So I don't want to break this on live stream. So to start with, we need to remove the driver's cab, which is in number 1 here. So apparently we need to remove the driver's cab separately. So I'm going to have a look, see how this actually pops off. Ooh. How this pops off. According to the picture, it just comes straight off, but I've got to try and do this very gently. So this will turn from an unboxing to watching Chris break a locomotive on live stream. Simple task: remove the driver's cab, remove the battery box from the chassis, remove the 2 screws as shown. Ah, by the looks of it, you don't even have... 1 second. So remove the battery box and then remove the screws. By the looks of it, we shouldn't even have to remove the cab. I don't know why it's telling me to do so. So should have to remove the battery box, and there's actually 2 screws underneath. Let me find my screwdriver. So, hello Kevin. So yeah, it does look quite nice. I'm looking forward to running it actually. Oh, might be if I had the right screwdriver. So I'm just going to pop these screws straight out. So I'm going to place these on here so I don't lose them. I don't know if anyone's lost screws before. I have quite a few. So we're going to take those screws out. We should actually be able to remove the body. Have a look. Just going to use a small flat blade screwdriver. There's some little like indents up here, so I'm just going to try and. Why is that not coming off? Sorry. Thing. I'm just trying to look at the photos now. Helgen locomotives can be quite troublesome to take apart, unlike Bachmann ones. Bachmann and Hornby aren't too bad. Literally, the bodies usually just come off. Helgen can quite often be a bigger task. Right, I'm just going to try and take the cab off. It's a bit hard trying to do it in front of the camera in front of me. Just bear with me for 1 second. My eyesight's going in my old age, so I need to. Maybe we do need to take the cab off, I think. So what I'm doing is I've gently used a screwdriver just to pry the cab off here. I just needed to get a little bit closer to it so I could see it. Oh, we're coming off. I'm just trying not to break the window wipers. So as you can see, using a small flat blade screwdriver, we can gently slide that cab off. So you can see there's no interior detail on these, but something here. Right, so the next is actually remove the cab. So I'm just reading the instructions. I've not seen this locomotive before, so it's remove the battery box. Remove the yes, that should be ready to come off. Let's have a look, see if this one comes off. So I hope you're all having a nice Sunday anyway. So it was really rather nice weather yesterday. No, it don't want to come off. Right, let's try and remove the chassis. Here we go, we're coming. So, I think we've just got to gently prise it along. Why are we not coming out that end? Move the battery box and thing. So if anyone's got any experience with these, let me know. So the class 16 wasn't too bad to unbox and get the decoder fitted. This 15 seems to be a little bit more of a pain. We're slowly coming. Gently does it, as they say. Why are we still not coming off there? So, as I say, Helgen ones can be quite troublesome. The picture just shows that you pick the body off and it's done. So remove 2 screws as shown. Remove the interior, photo 4. Then remove the body. So there's the interior part gone. Well, the so-called interior. Then it's saying just remove the body. What's that, sorry? Don't you love live video? Yes. So I should have picked an easier locomotive. There we go, we're coming. Right, the body's finally off. So you can see separately. So on here we've got 8-pin socket. Obviously it's a dual flywheel motor. I'm just going to have a look at the condition of the motor underneath. So this board is just everything's soldered on this, so I'm going to have to be quite careful. That does look quite tight, that motor connection. I'm just going to have a look now. So some of the wires, they just literally wrap up. So yeah, that's fine now. I'm not going to take that off because it seems to have been soldered really quite tightly. So there is a dual motor, well, it's a single motor, sorry, with dual flywheel. So it should be quite a nice smooth runner. And you can even see the lighting connections at the end there. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, obviously, the locomotive slots on like so. So we need to put the decoder down this end here. So the one I've actually got is on a harness. So the one I'm actually going to be using is actually a sapphire decoder. So I don't know if anyone's ever used sapphire decoders or not, but I do quite like them. Just shamefully we didn't make it yesterday to get to Rails to Sheffield. I'd have picked a lens one up actually. So I really am quite a big fan of lens decoders. We find that different decoders do make quite different running characteristics. So we've got the blanking plate, which I'm just gently going to prise off here. Just using my little screwdriver, get the right one. So then we'll keep this in the box just in case it ever needs to be run on DC again. Obviously we have a DCC layout. We've got a little test track here in front of us that we can have a play with. So that's going to be popped straight off. Okay, it even labels on here pin number 1 as well, which is in the top right hand corner, which is quite important because otherwise you'll end up with lighting going one way and the other. So pin number 1 on 8-pin decoders is the orange pin. So you see you've got orange, red, yellow, blue, green, white and black and then grey. So pin number 1 is always the orange pin. So obviously that's going to be fitted like so. Just gently slot that in, nice and easy. So I'm just going to have a look at the clearance where we can actually fit this in. We've actually got quite a bit of clearance there, so there's no reason why we couldn't store this on top. Obviously it's good to just plonk it on top, but we don't want anything shorting. So I have experienced in the past using heat shrink can make the decoders get slightly warm, should we say. So what I'm going to use is actually just unpack it. I'm just going to use some tape just to make sure we don't get any shorts between the decoder and any of the wiring that's quite exposed on top here. So obviously my way is not necessarily the right way, but obviously everyone does it different. So I'm just going to gently plonk this on top. So we just make sure we get no shorts, and then we're going to affix the decoder on top, just using a bit of tape so it doesn't move as we reaffix the body. So just bear with me for 1 second while I catch up with your comments. So they do say that, but it does. I do see your point, Kevin. They do actually say that, but many of us don't have DC running. And the other thing as well, how a decoder works, obviously it relays the voltage. At the end of the day, the voltage that goes to your motor is still 12 volts that will be going to your motor. So Kevin stated you should never fit DCC until run on DC for a while. I will be running this in. I'll show you how I do the run-ins in. 1 second, I'll just cut this tape. But obviously the voltage that goes to the motor, if you think about it, how it relays it, as you increase the decoder, increase the speed of your decoder, more voltage goes to the motor, which is the same action as what happens with DC. So I don't actually know where that myth's fully come from personally. It might be just to troubleshoot any problems, but at the end of the day, the voltage that goes to the motor and the end output is the same as running on DC. Okay, so we've put the decoder up this end, so it's nice and clear. I'm just going to tear a little bit of this tape off here so we don't protrude into the chassis. We're just going to reaffix the body. So I do see your point, Kevin. I know some of them do say that, but if you see the characteristics, point the camera down a little bit. Oh, I do apologise. Sorry. Oh yes. There we go. Sorry, I knocked it up. I do apologise there. So obviously here I've put tape across the top here to make sure we don't get no shorts, and then affix the decoder. The wiring harness is all out the way. We've got plenty of room in this locomotive. It's not a little shunter, so we've got quite a few different things. And hello Brian, hope you're okay. So it's just a quick test video this. It's not obviously what we're going to be using later. So we're just going to... It's nice to see that it's working and it's streaming to our YouTube viewers as well as our Facebook. Well, not our Facebook actually. I've shared this on the MRYCG group. just as a quick test for it. So I'm going to pop that straight back on and pop the interior in, he says. Don't you love doing live videos? So that's fixed straight on there. So I know we should test it first, but I'm just going for it. Just from experience, we should be okay. And I'll get my rolling roads out in a moment as well. We'll get those fixed. So I'm just putting these screws back in. I'm sorry I've got the slightly wrong camera angle there. Afraid because I'm live streaming, my computer's, well, because I'm over here, my computer's the other side of the desk, and I've got the comments up on the screen at the moment. So I'm just fixing these screws straight back in, if I can get it on the screwdriver. As I said, when you do pre-recorded videos, you can cut little mistakes out. When you're doing live, it's a little bit different. Let's have a look at just catching up with everyone's comments. Yeah, foam tape, either way. I bet your model's more reliable than the real Loco. Yes, it most likely will be. Well, we hope so. So I do actually, I'm not a fan of Hornby decoders in general, but the Sapphire one, it's made by an external company, is quite a good decoder. And I do put it on par with near as the lens ones. So they are quite expensive. They're about £40 odd each, these decoders. It's these ones here. Just hopefully I'm in shot. So these are really quite good decoders. They're not made by Hornby directly. They are a separate company, but they are quite good decoders. If not, I do personally recommend lens, but didn't manage to get around to actually picking one up. Right, so as we have fixed the body back on, we'll see this, well, the cab, sorry, there's 2 pins this side and 1 pin that side, so we know which way it's definitely going to go around. So we're going to put the 1 pin to the rear. I'm going to slide this on, and hopefully it should just clip in place, he says. He says. So I've put it on, obviously I pulled it out. So just gently. I do have a locomotive servicing cradle, for those that do wonder. So and then we're going to fix that straight on. 1 second. Why are you not going on? Aha, we need to go more straight in, that's why. So sometimes you just need a little bit of close eyesight. And when you've got a camera in front of you, I'm afraid it's a bit harder than said than done. Right, so you do have to just literally just slide it straight on. You just have to make sure there's little pins in the bottom here, one over here, each in the 4 corners. Make sure they're nice and tight in. So let's have a quick look. We're going to stick it onto the track. Hopefully we don't get a buzz or a fire. If it catches fire, it'll be a good video for you lot, but not for me. Oh, so I'll put the tanks back on in a moment as well. 1 second, sorry, I'm just clearing up so we've got a little bit of room. Okay, so by default, each locomotive, I'm just going to get a bit closer with the camera for you. Actually, open so you can see it a bit clearer. So each locomotive by default should be locomotive number 3. Okay, as you can see on the controller here, this is a Gauge Master Prodigy. So hopefully we've got the test track set on main. Hopefully, hey, we have a running locomotive. Don't worry, it's not going to fall off the edge. So it is sounding a little bit rough. It does need running in, which I'll show you how I do now. So the other thing, if we press locomotive 0, let me just unstrap the cables here so you can see. We should have some lighting. Function 0. There we go. So you see we've got the rear lights there. Then if we flick it round, we should have front lights here. Obviously you can block these depending on obviously the head codes that you use. We'll apply these later. You have to cut them out quite finely. So you've got the little yellow head codes and also the white ones to go with it. So you can generate whether it's a freight load working, etc. So they're quite nice bright lights they are. I hope they're coming out alright on camera. So, and then let's have a look at the rear end. Hopefully these work as well. hey, we have some success. So there is no cab lighting on this one, shamefully. So it is more of a Bachmann feature that than Helgen. So I will do a video on how to put cab lighting from a decoder at some point. Right, let me just bear with me for 1 second while I get my rolling road. Put them somewhere. So I use the DCC Concepts rolling roads, which are quite handy for us. So that's these little things. So obviously I have an end-to-end layout. Okay, it's not a circle layout, so I can't leave my locomotive running for half an hour or 15 minutes in each direction with my layout, because otherwise it'll just crash and fall off the end. Okay, so I use these DCC Concepts rolling roads. These are brilliant. They quite simply place them on the track. You get different spaces. You get N gauge, is it EM gauge and TT and all sorts with them in the pack. So these quite simply place on the track, and these rollers literally move along but conduct the electricity through. So we're just going to get these in place. Let's see if we get it right the first time. So you have to take a little rough guess, but you can. The Hornby do a rolling road, but the only problem with that one it's more designed for steam locomotives. So when you've got all-wheel drive on something like a Bobo on this, it doesn't work very well. Oh, sorry, I'm just replying. Sorry, I've just seen your comment, Laura. So the output on these is actually 1.5 amp on the Sapphires. So yes, I have had great experience with decoders and Helgens. I used, I don't know, you might be able to see some of my posts. The Helgen locomotive, I had a Helgen 47, and in there I put a DCC Concepts, and it was going up a helix, running fine for a bit. Next thing, it just went poof, and a load of smoke came out of it. So Helgen locomotives are very good. They're very powerful, but they do eat quite a little bit of electricity. So they do go through quite a few amps. So, oh no, I was a little bit out. So don't you love live videos? So running in the locomotives, so I do use these rolling roads. Make sure they're nice and even, because otherwise it'll end up shooting off. So what I do, I'm not going to leave this on live stream running for 15 minutes. What is we do, I set the speed. At the moment these controllers are set to its 28 speed steps. So I'm going to set it in half speed, running in one direction, and then half the speed running in the other direction. I leave it for 15 minutes either way. So I'm going to set it forward. So we'll leave that at number 14, which is half of 28, and we'll leave that running for half an hour and then switch it back over a little bit later. So hope you enjoyed the video. It's nothing too interesting. It was just the purpose of it was to just test. Obviously it was streaming to YouTube as well as Facebook for us, and we're going to leave this running, and hopefully you'll see it running on the layout very shortly. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all later for a running session later on.